All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the IYCN workshop series. This workshop is devoted for the professional development skills. My name is Fatima Mustafa. I am the IYCN co-chair of the Conference Presence Committee and also the American Chemical Society Secretary of the San Antonio local section. Thank you for joining us from different time zones. Thank you for our amazing speakers, Dr. Adam Myers and Dr. Lisa Valves, for accepting our invitation. All right. So here in the IYCN, we thought to organize this workshop, Building a Successful Online Presence, because we kind of recognize the importance of digital presence and online presence on the career pathways of younger chemists. Lately, online presence help actually in initiating scientific dialogues and promoting science and dispelling myths, especially with the pandemic. Apart from science communication, online presence as well help in expanding professional network and starting collaboration, and also it help in job hunting. For that, we have our amazing speakers to first speak about LinkedIn and how LinkedIn can maximize employment opportunities. With that, we will have Dr. Adam Myers. Thank you, Adam. The second part of the presentation will be with Dr. Lisa Palpes, speaking about social media and other platforms for scientific visibility and collaboration. After that, we will have a panel discussion where we will be happy to address your questions. So please go ahead and try to type in your questions in the chat box right now. Let me introduce you briefly to the International Younger Chemist Network, the IYCN, the organizer of this workshop. This network was established in 2017. It's affiliated by the IUPAC. We try here in the IYCN to connect and empower younger chemists globally. If you are a younger chemist below 35 years old or within the within 5 years actually from the last training or degree, or pursuing a degree in chemistry or related science, definitely you are a younger chemist, you are welcome to join us. Membership is free, so take the advantage. And if you want to know more about us, please visit our website, IYCN Global, and follow us on social media to know better about our events and programs. Of course, you are also welcome to volunteer with us. You know, the work here in the International Younger Chemists Network heavily depends on volunteering. This is our photo back in 2019 of the first General Assembly that was held in Paris. All right, so let's start our program. Let me introduce our first speaker, Dr. Adam Myers, to speak about LinkedIn maximizing employment opportunities. Dr. Adam Myers is a versatile chemist and a leader with a wide range of experience over more than 16 years in the pharmaceutical industry, including synthesis, contract analytical, and contract manufacturing with a focus on complex project management, commercial API manufacturing, and in vitro comparative analysis. Adam is currently a senior project manager in research, development, and innovation at Evonik, Tippecanoe Laboratories, and also serves as president of the Coldbrook Consulting Services. Adam received both his bachelor in honors chemistry and biochemistry and his PhD in organic chemistry from Purdue University. He has a wide variety of leadership experience, both in laboratory and beyond, including extensive ACS roles. In the ACS, Adam has held local and division officer positions and has served nationally on the Young Chemist Committee, the Committee on Science, and now on the Meeting and Expositions Committee. He has a passion for career development and greatly enjoys serving as an ACS career consultant and career pathways workshop facilitator. Adam has organized many symposia and has presented numerous times at local, regional, and national venues. Without further ado, Adam Myers.
Thank you so much. In just a second, when I get the presentation handed over, I'll start sharing, and we'll get started. Fatima, if you can transition the presentation over to me.
Mm-hmm. Of course.
Thank you. All right.
Share now?
Yes, I've got it. So.
Perfect.
Okay, so you should be seeing my slideshow. Fatima, can you confirm that you're seeing the slideshow?
I am.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right. Well, thank you so much for that introduction, and thank you all for the opportunity to be here and share with you. So we're going to talk about maximizing employment opportunities via LinkedIn. And so there's a lot of different things. I'll give you a little of my background, which you've already heard, so I won't do a lot with that. We'll talk about content generation, network building, and then job pursuit. Those are kind of the three main points we're going to address today. So background again, so Evonik, just to let you know, Evonik obviously is a global chemical company, and specifically I'm in our healthcare realm, where we're a global CMO for active pharmaceutical ingredients and intermediates. We have the world's largest high potent API capacity, and the bulk of that capacity is at our Tippecanoe Labs site where I'm located. I'm a senior project manager in research development and innovation, and what that means is companies come to us, they have a project, a drug that they need made. Maybe it's a pilot scale, maybe it's full commercial, and I help translate that, bring it in cradle to grave, and get it out the door as a manufactured product. I'm also, as part of the work that I did at a previous job, I did a lot of litigation support for pharmaceutical patents, and I'm still a declared expert on some cases. So I formed my own consulting business to wrap that up, and so I'm doing that a bit on the side, though it's something that is, I'm working to wrap up cases, but they just keep going. And my education was already shared, and ACS career consultant, which is something that I'm really passionate about, and get a chance to present at workshops, and national committee member, and I get a chance to collaborate really often with our other speaker, Lisa Balbus, and so it's exciting that I get to do this with a friend here. Content generation is the first thing we're going to talk about today, and so the starting point for your LinkedIn is going to be your CV. Hopefully you've got one of those, or at least a resume. If you don't, you should do that first and get that started. So that's something that you're going to do. You're going to get that CV started out. ACS has plenty of great resources for that, including a lot of workshops that we offer, which are free. So please check that out. Now, your CV, just as a reminder, this is a comprehensive list of your accomplishments. Length isn't a constraint on a CV document. You're going to have sections in introduction, your heading, contact information. You might have an executive summary, though in many cases it's more of a resume thing. Background, this is your education, your experience, your skills, supporting information, publications, presentations, awards, all that stuff. So hopefully you all know what a CV is. If you don't, like I said, there's other great ACS resources to help you with that. But your LinkedIn profile is not just your CV slapped up online. You don't just take your CV and say, oh, look, here it is. Ta-da, my LinkedIn is done. If you do that, it looks pretty amateur, and it's not going to really sell yourself the way you want to. So we have to customize this content. So you've got the intro section that LinkedIn has. So this is going to be where you're going to have a picture. Unlike a CV, which I know some countries will expect a picture, but in the States specifically, and more as we are looking at non-bias, you're having no pictures on those. So we don't have one. But here, you're expected to have a picture. LinkedIn is a networking thing, so a picture is expected. You want it to have a professional look. This is not your I'm out partying picture. Unless you're in an industry specific on party planning, then maybe you would. But that's not what we're here today to talk about. This is your who, what, and where. Tells me who you are, what you're about, and what you're doing, and then where you are. So you want to customize your title. So I've got the arrow to that. The reason is LinkedIn will try to guess your title or just paste in something from an experience that you've already got. So it may just try to paste in your full job title. So you're going to customize it. It needs to be something that makes sense. If you hold multiple positions, it's going to try to put a bunch of stuff together, and I'll talk about that challenge. So you want to customize your title and what it is. Especially if you're a student seeking employment, you're going to want to customize this to be something. For example, it could be synthetic organic chemist. Could be a title that you put on yourself there. You're going to have your location, but also contact info. You need to think about sharing this at your comfort. People can message you in LinkedIn, and that's fine. However, if you want to share an email address you can be reached at, it's a great way to do that. I do have an email address on with mine for LinkedIn, but it's available to connections of mine. Also, you're going to get a custom URL for your LinkedIn page. You're going to slap this on a resume, on your CV, everywhere that you can. It's an easy way to connect people. So that's just a little bit of that intro, but also there's this Open To tab. And when you click on Open To, this is going to let you say you're open to finding a job. You're open to your hiring. So HR folks or recruiters use that a lot, or providing services. And this is something where if you are specifically in a service role, if my only job was my consulting business, I would probably click that I'm open to providing services. However, and maybe business development folks would do that too in certain realms. But remember that everybody's going to see your status. So if you are currently employed somewhere and trying to get out, don't put that you're open to finding a new job. People will still try to recruit you anyway on LinkedIn. Trust me, I get info all the time from that. But don't put finding a new job if you're employed somewhere and you want to keep being employed there. For hiring, if you are the hiring manager or if you are an HR person, I would put that. But if you're not doing the hiring, don't select that. So settings, it's important to figure out what settings you really want to use. So that's right under your profile. You can click the down arrow. You look at that settings and privacy, you'll see that I've outlined that. And you go over to visibility. And the reason I mention this, again, as I've gone through different employment searches, the key thing here is you want people to see things when you want them to see it. So when you look at how you share your profile changes specifically, that's something that I leave default as no. And the reason I do that is, let's say I'm correcting a spelling. Well, I don't need everyone to see that I corrected a spelling and think there's something new on there. That's just me fixing a typo, which hopefully I didn't have in the beginning. Or if you're doing a lot of updates all at once, you don't want people to see every entry get updated when you're doing a big holistic change to your profile. So instead, what you want to do is you want to just select when you update those things. So you can change that setting at any time, but my default is to leave it as no. And that's one I think that a lot of people overlook. But yeah, mentioning in tags, notifying when you're in the news, those are all great things. So in the content generation, next we get to the about section. So the important part here, this is like a resume executive summary. It's that critical first impression. It's a combo, as I like to say, of who you are and also who you want to be. So this is talking about the type of work I do. It also tells you a little bit about myself outside, leadership values. It's not a big book. The rest of your content should tell you a little more of who you are, but it's that quick bio snapshot. This should be a quick talking point for you. Your experience section, okay, this is going to be similar to a resume or a CV, but there are going to be some key differences. And you'll note I did talk about customizing that title. There's a couple of side hustles that I have, and those are I have got the consulting business, which I'm working to wrap up some cases. But I also part-time am an orchestra director at my church, and I'm a group fitness instructor. And I have connections in those realms. So they're part of my professional portfolio, if you will. But these are not my main gig. And so I'm not emphasizing those. You're going to have some expanded details compared to the bullet points of a resume. So you'll see the entry I have for my position as a senior project manager. You're going to see a little bit of expanded. It's a little more conversational. It's not just a bullet point list. I'm going to select the details I want to market. If you just take a job description and paste your bullets of that in, it looks pretty dry. It's not really telling you much. You will have a resume or CV submitted for a job. LinkedIn is not to be a substitute for that. It's a complement to it, and it's enhancement of it. So I'm selecting the details I want to market. I don't put any details on any of these side hustle type things because at the end of the day, that's not what my main career is, and that's not what I'm really trying to brand myself as. The other thing is you're going to have mixed verb tenses. When we do a resume or CV, everything's a past tense, but in LinkedIn, your current activities should have present tense verbs. It's a slight nuance difference. Is that going to be make it or break it if you don't do that on your LinkedIn profile? No, but it's a little more engaging because online content is live and it should be up to date and fresh. Again, choose that emphasis, reduce the details for previous work or side hustles. I went through actually doing this presentation reminded me I needed to reduce some details on old jobs, so I did. Education section. Now, this part is the most like your resume source material, but I will caution you to be selective on activities that you list. A lot of people get really involved in a whole bunch of things at school, and that's great. And these are able to be on your resume if they're really important. But when you list activities with your education, they're going to be something I would keep it a little more on the professional side. I would not make it controversial. So you may have volunteered in some, social action causes, political causes, and that's great to be involved in that. But what I would say is this is your professional network, and you're going to hear me say that a few different times. So look for things that are going to provide common connection points, but not anything that's going to really polarize. There's a section for licenses and certifications. I don't use this on my profile, I'll be honest. You need to consider the relevance and value of those. You may be certified in CPR. I am, but that doesn't matter in my LinkedIn profile for the jobs I'm looking to do. So I don't list it. Just really be specific on that, and this is a case-by-case basis. Volunteer experience, I think this is a great section. I would condense your listing. So I am both a career consultant and a career pathways presenter at ACS. I don't have two separate entries for that. I have it as one because they're really part of the area of the ACS together. They're part of that same mission. And so I've clustered those together and I've beefed up some details. And I do use bullet points in this particular section. You're going to want to select experiences based on your professional goals. I'm a parent of school-age children, but I'm not going to put being part of a parent-teacher organization on my LinkedIn profile. It doesn't exactly work with what I'm doing. You're also going to choose the order that these things appear. You can customize this around. Keep things that are current up toward the top, but the older stuff, emphasize the order. And maybe if it's something you really don't do anymore and it's not relevant, you could remove it. It's really up to you. But where you put them is important. So we go on to content generation, and my big pet peeve of content generation, skills sections. On resumes and CVs, they shouldn't be there. Same thing, I'll tell you, with LinkedIn. Context for skills scores better on tracking systems and other ways to kind of hack job descriptions and hack application processes. Now, if you have a skill, there are some areas of LinkedIn here where it'll talk about language proficiencies. If you're looking for something international, that's a skill you might list. However, I would not list your skills here. I would list them in your experience sections. That's where it matters the most. Accomplishments. This is for publications, patents, honors, and awards. It's great if you have some of these you want to highlight, but I would be selective. I don't use this section of LinkedIn. I choose not to. There are some awards that I've had over time. Some things are pretty internal to companies. If you've received a really big national award, yeah, I would list that. Publications and patents, you can list them here if you want, but in industry, we don't really publish into the public realm so much, and so I choose not to have a section for this. If you're going into an academic career, that's probably a little more important to list everything there. Attachments. So LinkedIn allows you to have attachments. So these can be your marketing documents, part of your general resume portfolio, things that are going to be in the public domain. Don't put something up that will then exclude you from publishing it later. Some people talk about uploading a resume. Whether or not to do that, big no. Your resume is specific to a job application. It's not a general document, so you don't want to list it there. Plus, you've got content already there. Posting. This is how you keep fresh on LinkedIn. You need to have some sort of activity there. It's not a set it and forget it. So here's an example of a few posts I did. I spoke at a Predict conference for ACS, and so I advertised that speaking there. I've written for the Industry Matters newsletter, so I had a post for that. I also will sometimes post job positions that are open at our company that I really want to help promote to my network. So it's important. Remember that your likes will show up in your activity list, and it's going to push out to others, especially depending on how your settings are. So keep that in mind. Keep this professional. And again, the thing that I cannot emphasize enough, leave social causes to social networks. Lisa's going to talk about social networks, but leave those there. LinkedIn is professional, and I can tell you anytime people see a bunch of more social cause efforts rather than professional content on LinkedIn, it is usually viewed as a negative. So you've got to build a network if you want people to see what you have, but you want to build lasting connections. This is not a random hookup. Okay, so you want connections that are going to be with you through your career. And you want to think about this as you would make connections in person. So act like it's an online networking reception. You're going to have common interests that can connect you. Maybe you've been at a particular event together. Quick, easy ones are school and sports team. I'll tell you, I'm a huge Purdue fan, as Lisa and anyone else that knows me can tell you. So most places I go, I wear Purdue, or I'm a Saints fan. I went to school with Drew Brees. So when I was in Disney World with my family, I wore Purdue a lot, except when we went and saw Star Wars stuff, then I wore that. And many people would connect with me, and I made a connection for my wife for an organization she volunteers with someone actually from our state. So little things, common interests are great. And you can have those on LinkedIn. Look for things you follow, schools you went to together. But learn about the person, not just what they can do for you. You're going to listen and ask engaging questions. These are all the things you do in a reception, in that networking activity. You want to have them ask you questions. So we transition it to online. Well, you can add a note when you ask a request a connection. I will tell you this. I will always connect to somebody who I've met at a reception who adds a note. Random click and try to connect with me, I may not do it. I'm probably not going to ignore it because that has a negative connotation, but I want context to how I know you. It's really simple to add that note. If you forget to do it and you want to go ahead and follow up, you can do that. I would give a follow up to it and try to add a message. Try to make connections outside of LinkedIn before connecting online. That actually adds a lot more girth to your connections. You can also ask for an introduction. You have people, this is somebody I have mutual connections with. If I want to connect with them, I can ask for an introduction. Also, remember, the reason I have some side hustles listed, that might provide key connections. I knew some people in the group fitness realm that now work in the pharmaceutical industry, and we were connected because of that side hustle at first. And it's really proved really interesting. You also follow organizations, company you want to work for, a connection with a frequent post author. You see somebody post a lot in an ACS forum, well, you could actually reach out to connect with them, talk about their posts. But remember, networks are always under maintenance. You don't set it and forget it, like I said. you're going to keep connections fresh. Message with your contacts. Don't just connect and never reach out to them. And I'm not saying you're going to, as your networks grow, be able to message everybody all the time, but there's some easy ways to do something with it. Notice when they post something. If you really like it, engage with that. It can be as simple as a like, or it might be something more. So that's one thing. You can also, were they in the news? React to that. So I had several people reach out to me on LinkedIn or outside of it because of some of the posting I did with ACS Industry Matters. That's a great way to connect. So that's always important too. I'll try and get that. Prompted messages. Okay, so as a default, it'll tell you when somebody has a work anniversary, a job change, promotion, birthdays. Look in your notification. If nothing else, you can wish somebody a happy birthday. If they've entered their birthday information in LinkedIn, it's there. And I would encourage you to actually do that, because sometimes that prompts a conversation that starts something else with your network. So something simple. Also, you can take it outside the metaverse. I got these, notifications of a birthday. Maybe I could actually text somebody. I mean, that would be great. So you can text or phone. Having an issue here with my slideshow, and I'm not sure why. Give me 1 second. There it is. Okay. So text or phone, email, face-to-face. A mutual connection of Lisa and I, when I was in Florida with my family, he lives there. I reached out to our friend Luke, and we got to meet each other's kids. We connected up and went to a favorite place that I share with Lisa, Ghirardelli, and I was able to text her this picture to show what she might be missing out on, but it was, again, a great way to prompt some interaction. Remember, multifaceted connections are stronger connections, and that's really important to remember. Don't just connect on LinkedIn. If you've got other ways to connect, do that. So job pursuit. All right, to wrap it up, kind of close out here. You can search on jobs on LinkedIn a couple ways, but that's just the surface. Jobs are there 2 ways. They're posted, which means the company has paid to post a particular job or a set of jobs. But there's also shared jobs, and I'll tell you this, more jobs are going to be shared than just posted, because you have to pay for every job that's posted, and companies will strategically post. But these are a couple routes. So look for shared jobs with your connections. Now, you want to tweak your content. I'm not saying that you super customize it. That's what your resume is for. But if the types of jobs you're looking for have job descriptions that all have common words in place, maybe, and you have that experience, let's look at that. I suggest using word clouds. That's a great way to cover that. Status updates. Again, you can find out who's hiring, connect if appropriate if you see somebody's hiring. Your status, again, that's a maybe. If you're a student and you're looking for a job, or you're unemployed, looking for a job, self-employed, looking to maybe also pick up another job, you can say you're open to finding a new job, or self-employed will often say finding a new job because they're looking at providing services. They did add the providing services category, so you can do that. But if you're currently employed and looking to get out of it, don't say you're looking for a new job. Companies still go after you. I've had a lot of people reach out to me, and I'm really happy with my job. You want to follow companies of interest, engage contacts there that you have on a regular basis, and find the hints for hidden jobs. Did that company recently sign to build a new addition to their facility? Did that company say they're going into a new market? These are hints that jobs are probably coming up. Start reaching out to your contacts. You want to get the inside track if you can. So referrals are great. I post jobs, and I'm glad to refer somebody in my network that I know, that I've gotten to know. And so that's great. It gets you a little bit of an extra advantage if you've got a connection. But you want to be selective. If you've got options, find the person that's the most appropriate connection. That's going to be where you're at. Now, a couple of quick cautions as we wrap up. Who is ultimately hiring? I have seen posts for jobs that are for my old company that were listed with some sort of hiring agency. Make sure you do some verification. Look on their company website. If you're a referral candidate, apply the right way. For us, if someone doesn't apply through a link I send, they don't show up as a referral, and I also don't get credit. So make sure you find out the way to apply if you are a referral candidate. Your status is visible, again, to your current employer. As you're editing experience, you can turn on a specific update when you have saved an edit, and that's in the graphic shown there. Watch for other trends with the employer. Why are they hiring? Have you seen a bunch of people all leave there? Check connections that have left the company. There's a good reason they've left, and so think about that. Also, might be sacrilege since I'm giving a presentation with LinkedIn, but it's not the only site. Use orthogonal sites to verify things about the company and about the positions. So just in summary, to wrap things up here and close out my portion, you want to start early. Job seeking is not a quick fix. You want to really develop your network, develop your profile. So start now, even if you're a year or 2 years out from looking for a job, begin your profile. Your network takes time to build. You want to develop quality content. Keep this fresh, but keep it professional. Postings are easy ways to do that. Looking at something great in the research area, if you've published, look at this as a great way to post something. Build your network. So you want to keep your connections vibrant, and controlled growth is quality growth. So don't just randomly click a bunch of people. If I'm at a reception, I don't randomly just go throwing business cards at people. I'm going to talk to somebody, then I'm going to make a connection with them. So think about controlled growth and quality connections and keep in contact. And also, you want to pursue jobs strategically. So you can slightly tweak to optimize your chances. Connections will always increase your chances. And make sure you investigate for a best fit. Use these online tools. LinkedIn's the start of that. And Lisa is going to be telling you a little bit more. So obviously, we're going to save questions, I think, probably for the end. I think I'm right up on time, unless, Fatima, if I've got anything else. But otherwise, we'll do questions in the panel.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Adam. Yeah, we'll definitely encourage our attendee for submitting questions. Thank you for a great insight and helpful tips, actually. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right, so let me share my.
I've handed over to Lisa to present at this point, I think. So.
Can you please hand it over to me so I can introduce?
You're presenting now, so you've got it because you're the organizer. Yeah.
Okay. All right, so let me introduce our second speaker for today. We have Dr. Lisa Palpas. Lisa has earned her PhD in organic chemistry from the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill and her undergraduate degree in chemistry and psychology from Washington University in St. Louis. She spent several years as a computational chemist at Research Triangle Institute, conducted protein and small molecule modeling experiments in support of drug discovery. Since 1992, she has provided technical writing and editing services as Palpas consultant, with clients including Washington University Medical School, Sigma Aldrich, and many more. Dr. Palpas is currently serving as a member of the Board of Directors of the American Chemical Society, elected for the term from 22 to 24. She is a fellow of both the Royal Society of Chemistry and the American Chemical Society. Dr. Palpas has served her local ACS section as chair and has also served as career resource coordinator, scout clinic coordinator, and counselor. And nationally, she has served on many committees. I know Dr. Lisa Palpas, she is a supporter for young chemists, and personally, this is the third time I got to attend one of her events. Thank you, Lisa, again for accepting our invitation. And without further ado, please go ahead and share your slides.
Okay, good. Let's see. Did you hand over the control? There we go. Okay. So hopefully you all are seeing the slides. Can somebody say?
We're seeing the slide sorter, Lisa. We're seeing the slide sorter.
The sorter?
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, so we're seeing your whole slide deck. You've shared just the application, not the presentation view.
Seriously? Okay. Let's try it. Okay, we'll just do it this way. Is that better?
Perfect.
Yeah, we see it now, just the presentation.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, and I apologize for not having the camera on. I think I found the setting, but I would have to restart to make it work. So y'all would rather see the slides than me anyway. Okay. So thank you for the invitation to speak today. It's been quite interesting, and thank you for letting me do it with Adam. He also gave me a great segue in that, yes, while LinkedIn is the most important social networking tool professionally, it is certainly not the only one. So I'm going to explore with you some of the other ones for about the next half hour, and then we'll have questions. You can ask questions of both of us and see where we agree and where we disagree, which is always fun. Okay, so I'm going to start by talking just a little bit about why you should care about this. The fact that you're here today, spending your time with us, shows that you do care about your social media profile. But there are some people who say, well, I don't need that. That's not important. It's all about my scientific credentials. And if you actually look at the data, because we're scientists and that's what we like to do, what you find is that over 70% of the employers did social media searches on candidates before they hired them. So the employers are looking at what you're doing on social media. And that number has jumped up significantly. Almost a third of the organizations out there have a specific person dedicated to doing online social media searching of potential hires. So they're looking for what you have out there. Just over half of the companies or organizations actually found something online that caused them not to hire a particular candidate. And in some cases, this was somebody that they had actually, interviewed and were fairly far along in the process. Slightly less of the time, they found something that made them want to hire someone. And interestingly, 57% of the companies said they were less likely to hire somebody who had nothing online, where they couldn't find anything. I talked to a lot of younger chemists who say, well, yeah, I'm just not on any of those social networks. That's the safest way. And the employers really don't like that either. They want to know that you're a person, that you have, I don't want to say friends, but you at least have connections with other people. You have some sort of activity out there. So you can't just ignore this. And it's only going to get worse over time. Okay. So I said some of the companies have somebody who's specifically dedicated to this. Most of them actually outsource this to a third party. So they will use a company. Social Intelligence was the first company that was founded to actually do social media background checks for employers. And they're very interesting. They are really good at finding people's profiles. So I have a lot of candidates who will say, well, I have my professional profile, but then I also have my personal activities, and they're separate and people can't find them. No, the companies are really good at figuring out that Tony Stark and Iron Man are really the same person. So there's a few things that have to match, but generally they can connect things that way. So don't think that you're gonna, hide something from them just by using a slightly different name or something like that. They will be able to find you. And this is what their report used to look like. It's kind of hard to get an example of what these social media reports look like, but basically they look at everything that you've done on social media for about the last 7 years. So they do look over a significant period of time. And what they're looking for is, anything obviously illegal, immoral, unethical. We'll have some examples in a minute. But things really that would apply to the way that you would do the job or the way that you would represent that organization. So this particular case, you'll see this person was actually applying for a job, I believe, as a nurse. And they had several comments on Facebook about, why is it that old patients cause the most problems? Tonight, they can just take care of themselves. So if you were going to hire, a nurse, you would really not want someone who had that attitude towards your patients. And that was actually the comment of the reviewer, that the subject had multiple posts talking about mistreating, especially the elderly. So, these are the kinds of things that, common sense would tell you you should really not post publicly. One of my favorite surveys in this area was done by a company called JobVite. It's a little dated now. It was done about 5 years ago, but I still think it's wonderful information. And they asked the companies, when you're looking at social media profiles, what is it you're looking for? What's good, what's bad? They found 72% of the companies did not like spelling errors, grammar errors. They found those as a big negative. Less of them were bothered by people drinking alcohol. So if you're going to have a margarita, that's fine. Just make sure you spell it properly. They loved people who, showed participation in local groups. So again, that showed you had some kind of interests outside of work. Political affiliations really didn't matter. This one I think might have changed in 6 years. At that point, there's very negative association with people who said that they use marijuana on their profiles. I suspect that would be different today, but they have not done this survey again. And here are the other things that they looked at. Selfies, nobody likes selfies, current events, personal presentation. And again, limited or no social media presence was a big red flag. So people who just were not out there at all, it was a question. Why are they not out there? Do they not have any friends? Are they not a social person? What's going on there? So, something to think about. You need to be out there at least a little bit. And you don't have to be on all the platforms, and you certainly don't want to, because that would take up all of your time. But you do want to think strategically about, where am I going to spend my time? Okay. You want to think about where, from their perspective, where are they going to go when they're looking for people? So suppose this, random person, I don't know, maybe Adam Myers applies for a job at my company. What's the first thing that I'm going to do? I'm going to plug him into my search engine. I use Ecosia. Most people use Google. We do not endorse any particular search engine. But the first thing you're going to do is plug the name in, and you can see that there's kind of a few Adam Myers. There's 300 plus on LinkedIn alone. So that's not really helpful in finding the right person. So I might get a little bit more creative and plug in Adam Myers chemist. And then I find some great pharmacists in the UK. I thought that was a lot of fun. And there's actually Adam Myers Pharmacy. So maybe Adam has a side job he hasn't told us about. So you need to think about, again, when you're putting your information out there, how are the employers going to find me? How am I going to make myself easily findable to them? So some of this involves things like including your LinkedIn URL, and other URLs on your resume to make sure that they're finding the right Adam Myers and not some other one. You want to make it as easy as possible for them to find the right person. And I believe our Adam normally uses his middle initial, if I'm not correct, but that's something else to think about. Think about the version of your name that you're going to use. If there are lots of people with the same name, do you use your middle name? Do you use your middle initial? Decide what name you're going to use, and then be consistent. I am very fortunate. I am the only Lisa Balbus in the world. There was another one, but she got married. So it's very easy for me. Other people have it a little bit more difficult. So think about, as you're putting yourself out there, how are you going to make this findable for other people? How are you going to link your profiles together and have enough common information that they do know that this is all you? Okay. And while you're thinking about your audience and putting yourself out there, making yourself easily findable, think about who your intended audience is. So who are you looking for? Who is it that you want to be able to find you? And what are the social media and other tools that they may use to look for you? This was another great study that they were looking at the appropriateness of using mobile phones during a formal business meeting. So is it okay to answer your cell phone during a formal business meeting? And they got a number of different answers of what was appropriate, but the really interesting thing is how it varied significantly by age. So think about who is it you're trying to be found by? What are their characteristics? Are they, we'll say, a more experienced population that might be more comfortable with just, LinkedIn and, Facebook? My children tell me that Facebook is for old people. So what kinds of tools are they going to be using? And maybe that's where you want to put your efforts. Okay. And think about the messages that you're putting out there. Someone recently put this tweet in a conversation that I was having on Twitter. It doesn't matter what the company prefers. If they can fire you at a moment's notice, you can leave at a moment's notice. And we were actually discussing how much notice to give a company before you leave and accept another position. And I showed this to several people, and they're like, I would never hire that person, because this is somebody who may just leave at any time. It doesn't show a lot of loyalty or, concern for their colleagues. So again, even little, one-off tweets, you need to think about, what is somebody else going to infer from that? What is that saying about you? And maybe you don't want to put that where everybody can see it. Okay, so which tools do you want to use? For those of you who are familiar with it, this is the Pew Research Survey that was actually done just last year, looking at the different social media tools that are out there and which ones people are using. And this is overall. You can look at the whole survey to see the breakdown of different things. So you'll see there's, increased use for most things. Here's LinkedIn, staying pretty steady. A lot of people use that. Instagram, Facebook, YouTube is hugely popular, especially among certain groups of people. TikTok is growing. So there's all kinds of different places that you could spend your time online. And the question is, which ones are most useful? And especially which ones are going to be most useful for you professionally. So I'm going to give you some that are really useful professionally. And we'll see if y'all have others that I don't mention, please put them in the chat or ask questions about them, because I'm sure I don't know all of them. There's a lot of them out there. So one of the ones that I would really encourage you to check out, in addition to LinkedIn, is the OrgID, especially for those of you who want to stay in academia. This is a great way to organize all of your publications. So it actually gives you a unique persistent identifier. So mine is this big long number here. And you put all of your publications in one place. So this is a great way, again, that you can just send that one URL, that one OrgID to a potential employer, and they see all of your publications and no publications by somebody else who may have the same name. So it's a great way to keep them all organized. You can now link it to your you can link it to your acs.org account, and it's starting to be required by a lot of the publishers. So it's not really a social media. You're not going to connect with a lot of other people on this, but it is going to help you organize your publications and get them to other people more easily. Okay, and as long as we're looking at publications, there are also preprint servers in different fields. I have guessed a number of different ways to pronounce this, so I'm not even going to try. But I guess ChemRxiv, or they say to pronounce it ChemArchive, is a place where you can put preprints of papers. So if you have a paper that you're waiting for it to come out, you want to put someplace so people can see it, and maybe so you can get feedback on it ahead of time, this is a great place to put it. There was just an article published in Chemistry World that comes out from RSC about, this has only been out there about 4 years, and it's already proving quite useful. Again, there are copyright, pre-publication issues, so you need to be a little bit careful about what you put where. But this can be another place, another way to get your work and things that you've done out into the chemistry community so that other people can see your great professional work. Okay, In addition to just putting your publications out there, you always want to be looking for ways to help other people. One of the things that I'm sure Adam mentioned is networking is a two-way street, and you really want to try to give before you get. So look for ways that you can help other people and put information out there that will be useful to other people. So, suppose you're an expert in NMR and you put together, a study tip or a cheat sheet for yourself. Is that something that you could share with other people on your LinkedIn profile, on one of these other services? You're going to learn an awful lot putting these types of documents together, and you're also going to get a reputation as an expert in that particular topic by sharing that with other people. So look for ways that you can share infographics. We're seeing now a lot of method videos. So actually a use for YouTube. Put videos up showing how to do things. Again, a way to help other people and get your name out there as an expert in a particular subject area. Okay, so some specific tools. We've mentioned Facebook several times. Facebook is social, it is not professional. Way back in the dark ages, they used to actually kick people off Facebook when they found them looking for jobs on there. They don't do that anymore. They actually try to encourage it. And you will see a lot of companies will now have a Facebook page for their organization. And really the entire purpose of the page is to convince people to apply to that company. And they're going to expect that if you apply there, you have looked at their Facebook page and you know what they have posted there. So look at these, follow them on Facebook and especially on LinkedIn. They can actually tell how long you have been following them. And I've had hiring managers say, yeah, this guy's been following our company online for 4 years. So we knew he was really interested in us and really wanted to work here. It was not just something he came across. And that put him to the top of the pile when it came time to interview people. If you're going to be doing this, again, and following them, then you have to assume that they're going to be looking at your Facebook profile. Again, they're not going to expect it to be fully professional, but they are going to be looking at what you post. So you want to be a little bit careful and make sure you're not posting things that are, horribly outrageous or very controversial. Okay. Twitter, another network. Most people are familiar with this. It's very short posts. Now they're 280 characters. So it's a great exercise in writing succinctly. It's very real time. So if you don't comment on something within a couple of hours, the conversation has moved on. There's lots of retweeting, lots of posting links to other information, and links to longer articles. Okay, there is a very, very active chemistry community on Twitter. So here are some of, they call them the chemistry tweeps. So some of the people that you should follow and watch their discussions if you're interested in being on that platform. Okay. And then another platform that's arisen much more recently is Discord. This was actually started as a gaming platform, and it's a way to do live chat and live conversations while people are gaming with each other. But it's actually started to be used for other things. And in a very meta environment, there is actually a chem Twitter discussion on Discord. So you can go on Discord to discuss what's going on chem Twitter. This is much, much more relaxed, informal. Again, it's more of that gaming community environment, but they're talking about, real-time chemistry and things that are happening on Twitter. Okay. Another one that's been around for a while, not quite as sophisticated as some of the others, but really harkens back to the old bulletin boards, is Reddit. There are lots of discussion groups on edits. People will post a question and the other people post text-based answers. Two of the ones that might be useful, there's one on career guidance. There's one on chemistry. Tends to be a lot of, do my homework for me in high school. but there are some professional chemists on there that will have some interesting discussions. They also have AMAs, which is Ask Me Anything. So they will get someone well known in the field to get on Reddit at a particular time, usually for an hour, and it will be Ask Me Anything about, you know, my job or whatever. So you can have real-time discussions that way. Remember, with all of these, you know, Discord, Twitter, Facebook, all that, this is all public. So anybody can see it. And as we heard many times with LinkedIn, you don't know who's watching and who's listening. There was a great thread on the career guidance Reddit. Someone posted that they had gotten 2 job offers, one from Uber, one from Zenefits. They didn't know which one to take. This is what they liked about one. This is what they liked about the other. They asked for advice. And about the 3rd comment was from the CEO of one of those organizations saying, we only want people who really want to work for us, so we are rescinding your offer. Okay, so again, be very careful what you post, especially if you're going to post the name of a company, because you know these companies are searching for their name. So, you know, use a little discretion. Okay, if you get tired of talking to people online, there's Meetup. So Meetup has actually been around for 20 years, which is kind of scary. But this is a way that you can actually find people that you can meet with in real life. I know, scary thought. But you can go on there and find different groups on any kind of topic that you're interested in and find them in your local area, or you can start one. We have one in my local area, and it started off as cocktails with chemists. It is now morphed into it's sometimes cocktails and sometimes coffee with chemists. And people just get together, you know, maybe 3-4 times a year at a local, you know, restaurant or now in a park. And it's just a bunch of chemists that get together and talk and have coffee or cocktails. So this is, again, a great way to actually meet people in real life that you can then add to your professional networks. Okay, Instagram, another social networking tool that you can use. This can be a great way to do research on companies when you're, again, if you're looking for a new position. You can learn a lot about the company culture, dress code, recent events that they've had, because they will post these to their Instagram feed. So you can look at the pictures and see, you know, what they're pushing, what they're promoting from their company and what they think is important. Okay, Snapchat, a lot of people are on Snapchat. The only professional use I found for Snapchat is there is a filter where you can see what you would look like if you were in a McDonald's uniform. So if you're interested in working at McDonald's, there you go. Other than that, I have not found a professional use for that. But I have, I would say sadly, started seeing people post resumes on TikTok. So your resume used to be, you know, your personal data about your jobs. You can see some things that it used to include way back in, I think this one was from about the 1950s. People are now actually posting videos on TikTok explaining why you should hire this particular person. I can see where that might work for somebody who was looking for a job in video production or marketing or social media. Not sure the chemistry community is quite ready for that particular tool yet. Okay, but as long as we're talking about resumes, another great tool that you can find online, this is not a social media tool, but it is an online tool, is JobScan. And that's not a typo, it is jobscan.co. You can actually use this tool and put in your resume and then put in a job description, and it will tell you how well your resume is customized for that particular job. They also now have a tool for your LinkedIn profile. So you can take your LinkedIn profile and see how well it matches a particular job description, which is really useful if you're trying to customize your LinkedIn profile to move into a new field. Okay, whatever you're doing, however you're presenting yourself, make sure to present yourself well. Think about what you're doing. Always present a professional face. I'm sure some of you remember this gentleman who was trying to do an interview with the BBC News when his children burst into his home office. This was pre-COVID. I think we're a little more understanding of that now, but it still does not set a good professional tone. Same thing with the lawyer recently who got the cat filter turned on and couldn't get it turned off. So if you're going to be using these new technologies, whether they're text-based, video-based, think about how you're going to present yourself and present yourself well. If you're going to be going for on-site interviews, do we even do those anymore? Hopefully we'll get through COVID soon and we'll start doing those. But you can use your social media tools to learn about the people that you're going to meet, learn about their backgrounds, their interests, and use some of those tools like Facebook and Instagram to learn about the dress code at the company. So you learn how to dress for the interview. You can use those to do an image search of the people that you're going to meet so that when you're looking for them at the airport, for example, you have an idea of what you should be looking for. There's also, other tools that you can use. There's online webinars that you can use to increase your skills in certain areas. There are some that are coming up from ACS in the next couple of weeks. And there are lots of blogs where people still post on a regular basis, what job openings are, what the job market is like for chemists. ChemJobber is awesome. Lots of other places. There's lots of information online that you can find, and then use these as ways to connect with people. Add comments, ask questions, add your own opinions. This will help. Again, you will get to know some of these people online. They'll get to know you, and you build your professional network that way. And that's really what all this is about. Connecting with all of these people is building your professional network so that you can use it later when you need it. LinkedIn is actually the only tool I know that searches not only your connections, but it searches your connections. So I had an instance a number of years ago where I got a call from a potential new client, which I said was great. I'd never heard of them. I had no idea what they did. So I went on LinkedIn, did a search. I didn't know anybody who worked there, but I knew Eric, and Eric knew Roy, and Roy used to work at that company. So I was able to contact my friend Eric and say, hey, Eric, would you put me in touch with Roy? Eric said, sure, no problem. I talked to Roy. Roy actually used to work for the person I was going to interview with, and was able to give me all kinds of great inside information because he knew it and he was Eric's friend and Eric had vouched for me. But if I had not had that network set up ahead of time, I would never have been able to access Roy and all his valuable information. So, just as Adam said, this is something, it takes a long time to build up your professional network, build up those relationships with other people to the point where you can ask them for favors when you need them. I would caution you, LinkedIn is great, but I don't know about you, but I'm not paying anything for it. And as a job candidate, you probably shouldn't. So make sure that you keep this information yourself as well. Download your connections from LinkedIn on a regular basis. Put them in your own electronic address book so that if LinkedIn goes away tomorrow, you've still got all that information. I make notes with everything I know about everybody. I should have put Adam's card in here. That would have been interesting. But I will put the ages of people's kids, what their pets are, anything that I know about them. So when we have a conversation, I can look that up and remind myself about that. Okay. I also set up Google Alerts so that I know when I am mentioned on the web, and sometimes it's kind of interesting. So make sure to keep an eye on what other people are posting about you and what's out there. Okay. So hopefully what we've convinced you is that you really want to make sure to always present your own best self on social media. Go, do an inventory. What is out there now about you? Find out what's out there, what other people are posting about you. and then start using social media to put out positive professional information about yourself across your different accounts so that people will find you, so that professional presence will start building up. And remember that anything you put out there, nothing is really private. Somebody else could forward anything. So, be careful what you post. You never know what may come back to bite you later on. Okay, but in the end, it's really nothing different than we've been doing throughout human history. We're just using different tools, but it's really all about connecting with other people and building those relationships, which are going to help you throughout your career. There are a few places that you can go to learn more information, so I can share these references if people want them. Okay. And with that, I think I am right at the end of time, so I am going to stop sharing. And we will, I guess, turn it back over to whoever's going to run the question section.
Thank you so much, Lisa. Thank you for giving us this tour within the versatile social media and online resources that are very helpful, and given us some really nice information. It's good to know that there is like a social media background check over there. Thank you so much. I'll be happy to address the questions right now for the audience. We got a few questions here. I will ask Adam, please, and I know to turn the camera. Thank you, Adam. So we have a question here for Adam. So the question is from Rodrigo Montero, and it says, is it compatible to have a LinkedIn profile for both academia and industry, or should it be optimized for one or the other?
You should only have one LinkedIn profile. So, and realize this, you will have resumes that are going to be customized, CVs that you customize, but your LinkedIn profile, this is the professional profile of who you are. So if you're still a materials chemist, then you're a materials chemist for industry or academia. You just want to think about certain things. So sections, when I talked about, I don't really use that publication section so much. If you're going for academia, just make sure you fill that out. It's not going to hurt you for industry. But no, your resumes are your customized things, your job applications are.
Thank you, Adam. Here we have another question for Lisa, and the question is raised by Elisa Jara. What is your opinion on fun science posts like memes, short videos, and jokes?
I like them. I mean, I always like a good joke. I don't have any problem with that. I think, too many of them can get annoying, so you don't want to be posting 20 a day, but yeah, I certainly don't have a problem with them, especially if they're really clever or ones that I haven't seen before. Mm-hmm. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, and I would add, there's some interesting things that people will post as fun kitchen chemistry things that you could do with your family. I think that's a great way to share a scientific concept and really help, grow the awareness of science too.
Great, thank you both. We have another question here for Lisa from Fallon. She thank you for the presentation and ask if you have any social media site that you recommend to people that don't use social media, just to have, ourselves other. Do you have any recommendation?
I mean, professionally, you have to be on LinkedIn. We're kind of not going to give in on that. I don't know that there's really, I like Facebook personally. I got on it first to watch my kids, and now I just like it because that's where my friends are. So a lot of it is just finding the one that you feel comfortable with. And I've heard it said, find your tribe, find the place that you go, that there's people that you feel comfortable talking to. Probably I would try Twitter first, probably, and look for some of those, the chemistry, the hashtags are chem Twitter, real-time chem, those kinds of things. That's a really active, warm, opening community. So that might be a good place to start. And there's not a huge investment there because tweets, 280 characters, you can't say a whole lot. So that's probably a good place to get your feet wet. Adam, do you have a different preference?
No, I think you're right. I mean, you need to have LinkedIn, and if you have something else, then think about it from that perspective. I think Twitter is one. I do know the whole company culture Instagram thing is definitely growing, so it's not a bad idea. But just remember, whatever you have, you need to engage with it. So, I mean, if you're on Twitter, you can receive tweets more than necessarily and follow people in that way. Instagram, if you're just following and you're not also posting, then it's kind of creepy. So you got to think about that.
Well, and I will say you have to monitor it because I have an Instagram account that I apparently did not pay enough attention to, and it got hacked. And then one of my friends notified me. She's like, "Yeah, you've posted 6 ads for sunglasses." I'm like, "No, I really didn't." So yeah, if you're going to set these things up, you do need to keep an eye on them.
Yeah, and I think that's important. It can't be emphasized enough. Lisa had mentioned it. If you're going to do the site or some sort of social media, you have to actually have an active part in it. Otherwise, it can get hacked. Or people are going to think you just don't like them because you didn't respond or you haven't liked their posts. So think about that. In this day and age, you've got to think of what you can maintain and where your bandwidth is.
Thank you both. So I think this question is for both of you. I think nowadays we hear about the term personal branding. Can you explain it? What are the steps to develop a personal brand in your opinion?
Yeah, so I think in some ways where we talked about in the LinkedIn part, just that initial about you thing, you have to think of who you are. If you're in an elevator with someone and maybe post-COVID, they won't have the limit rules on the number of people in there, though in some ways that's nice. The thing that you have to think about is, if someone asks you, what do? You need to be able to answer that. So you don't need to think of necessarily flashy taglines or things like that, but you need to be able to, in a very succinct way, a sentence or two, say what you're about. And it doesn't have to, don't think about doing market research on it or whatever. But if you say, as a pharmaceutical chemist, if I say I make drugs, well, that's probably not the best thing. It's a joke I tell to friends of mine. I say, I got to go to work, got to go make drugs. But it is something. Say I'm a chemist in the pharmaceutical industry, helping to develop new therapies to improve life. Okay, that's a brand. And you've got to think about what that brand is for you. So I don't know, Lisa, what your thoughts are.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. It's really, it's who you are. How do you want other people to think of you? So you need to think about not only what are you doing now, but where do you want to go in the future? And sometimes just tweaking that wording a little bit can make a big difference. So I worked with a candidate who was basically a PhD physicist, was doing a postdoc, but wanted to move into something different. So he had been describing himself as, well, I'm a physicist who knows how to program. Like, well, okay, that's like all physicists and who cares? But he just flipped it around. It's like, well, I'm a computer programmer with a background in physics. And then all of a sudden he's, applied to a lot more positions. People are more interested in him as a programmer just because he says that first. So it's, think about how do you want people to think of you? What kinds of opportunities do you want? And then that's what you're going to talk about first with other people. That's where you're going to put the emphasis. So it's really, your personal brand is, kind of everything that people know about you. And a lot of that is under your control by how you put it out there.
Thank you, Lisa. All right, so we have a question here from Carla Sanchez. She's asked is it okay to include hyperlinks on a digital resume or CV, like the DOI or ORCI ID or LinkedIn itself. Is that okay?
Yeah. Yeah, you can. If you're sending it electronically, a hyperlink is great. So, because in general, it's going to usually pop up as a hyperlink anyway. So absolutely, for stuff like that.
Definitely. The general rule is when you're sending information to hiring managers, you don't want to make them have to think. You don't want to make them have to do any work at all. So make it absolutely as easy for them as possible.
Great. Probably there is a way also to shorten the links in a way the URL doesn't show so much lengthy. So thank you. We have a question here from Elisa again. For Adam, this question goes for Adam. Do you have recommendations on how to better portray a career change in a LinkedIn profile? It is my understanding that particularly in academia, gap years or switching fields are perceived negatively. What do you think about that?
So the main thing, and this is something that as career consultants, and Lisa can speak to this too, the main thing is if there's a gap, someone's gonna ask about it. A hiring manager is gonna ask about it. They're not necessarily going to be turned off by it, especially in the light of a pandemic. Everybody kind of gets a little bit of a mulligan, to use the golf term, in the light of that, because, oh, well, you had issues because of the pandemic. You couldn't work because you were ill. You couldn't leave your house. There's a variety of things. So as you look at it, I would say if you are, looking to, and if you can legitimately say this, you have to back up whatever it is. I've known many friends who have started a consulting business, and they may have done a couple of things, but it gave them a bit of a gap filler, which is fine. But if you have gaps, just don't be afraid of them. Just make sure you have ways to spin it. In terms of changing career, it's all about, like in LinkedIn, think about that about section. If you have switched from synthetic organic chemistry to computational chemistry, for example, you brand yourself as a computational chemist with a strong background in synthetic organic chemistry. That will allow you to control your brand, and then it allows you to control the messaging. But just always be ready for a question about a gap. I know, Lisa,
gaps,
what do you?
I say gaps used to be a big red flag. Now it's like, who doesn't?
Yeah.
So if there's a little bit of a gap, that's not a big deal. If you start having multiple gaps and multiple year gaps, then it's going to be more of an issue. It's more the hiring managers want a coherent story. So it's, well, why did you switch? And it might be, well, in my undergrad, I was really interested in synthetic organic chemistry. I didn't find out about computational until late in my graduate career. And that's when I realized that was really my strength. And now I'm so excited to come work for you and do whatever. But so, yeah, if you can tell a good story about why you switched or why, I've really always had this interest in this particular thing. And I just, didn't realize that it could be a full-time career until later. That's a good story. Hopefully it's true.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right. So we have a question here about networking through social media and online resources. How to expand my network via social media in a professional way? Is it okay to send connect invitations anytime?
So let's talk LinkedIn. The advice I gave was make sure you add a note. There's an option to do that. Out of the about, I think, 4 or 5 requests I got to do LinkedIn, I'm guessing from this, only one of those people actually put a message in there, and they said they appreciated my talk and actually had me look at their LinkedIn profile quickly. And I did that already. I accepted them. I didn't accept the others. Now, I've not ignored them, but I didn't accept them because you got to think about, I don't just go up and randomly say, I'm connecting to you. I'm going to go into this and I'm going to, try to have that conversation. So sending a note with that is pretty important. Again, it can simply be, I enjoyed your talk. Could we connect? It doesn't have to be, and don't think about this as a long formal letter. It's a quick note that's character limited anyway, a little more than a tweet, but not a lot. So I think that's the way to do it. It gives some context for the connection, and ask for introductions too.
And I do exactly the same, Adam. If I get the generic, you know, please connect with me, that I delete those real fast. If it's, I was in your audience, I'm like, yeah, maybe. But if it's somebody that, you know, asked insightful questions, or, you know, back when we were in person, you know, somebody I had conversations with afterwards, I'm like, oh yeah, I'll connect with you.
Great, thank you, Lisa. All right, so we have about 5 minutes left for the panel discussion. We have a question here in general for both of you. If you can summarize do and don't while using social media.
Well, so I would say in the context of this, do keep it professional. Don't post social extremes and drunkenness. There's way too many drunk pictures of people online, and you will find them. I know Lisa shared some of the stats, and the reality is, people need to be able to know that they can function for a job. So just think about that in light of anybody could see this, and so my future employer could see this. Do I want them to see it?
Lisa, do you have any opinion about that?
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. I would say, you know, you want to be your authentic self. You're not trying to put on a persona, but you can certainly be your most professional self, until you get to know people, and then you can, you know, harass them a little bit, like, you know, people who go to Ghirardelli without asking other people.
We were in Orlando, Lisa. You weren't there. San Diego's coming. It's ready.
Yeah, I mean, as far as don'ts, it's really, you want to stay in the middle. You don't want to never post anything, but you also don't want to be that person who posts, you know, every other day. I don't want to, you know, I love Adam, but I don't want to see him on LinkedIn every other day saying, I published a paper, I got 90% yield on this reaction, you know. So, you know, kind of think about, what are you posting? Is this things that other people might be interested in? I do like it when people will post a link to, you know, hey, did you see this, you know, new article on, you know, whatever topic. So look for things that would be of interest to other people, and you're, especially when you're building your network, it's all about trying to be useful to other people.
Yeah, speaking about articles, actually, I have noticed some of the journals now provide an open access link for a certain period of time, where authors are encouraged to share through social media. What do you think about that?
I think it's great. I mean, the more you can get things out there, the better. The journals like it because it's getting potential viewership for their journal and maybe subscribers, and it's great for you to publish your personal brand. So I think go for it. Make sure people know that it's an open access link. It's not, because sometimes they might not click on it if they think, well, I don't subscribe to that, but awesome that you have this. So make sure they know it's an open link, and maybe tell them the period at which you can't access it anymore, just so they're aware.
Great.
Yeah, absolutely. I think publishing a journal article is a significant enough accomplishment that, yeah, I would want to see that from people. But just, again, don't post it, you know, every other day for a month. I've seen people do that. I'm like, really? We get it.
Yeah, you know, to follow on to that too, there was someone I connected with. Again, it was through a mutual connection, and they're an undergraduate student. And I found out that, you know, right now, once I connected with them, they daily post a video giving people all this wonderful leadership and career advice. And they're still an undergrad, and they really, some of it misses the mark. So it's one of those things that now I pretty much ignore anything coming from them, because it's become the white noise in the background. It's that static that's hissing. And so I think that unless I see somebody specifically comment on one of those that noticed it was great, I'm going to ignore it.
All right, I think with that, we come to the end of our panel discussion. Thank you so much, Adam and Lisa, for the great insight and for addressing all of these questions, and for the exciting presentations. Thank you so much. Thank you for our audience for raising the questions. I have a couple of slides actually here I would like to share with you. So let me share my screen. Can you see my screen? All right. So with the IYCN,
we are not seeing your screen right now.
Thank you, Adam.
Yeah.
So if you if you would like to see our this workshop, actually you can go to the IUPAC channel very soon, and this workshop will be recorded, is already recorded, and it will be uploaded in YouTube channel. Also, if you want to watch our previous professional development workshop, of course, you can watch that on the same YouTube channel. We have uploaded all of the previous workshops over there. Also, for our next workshop in this series will be during February, and it will be particularly in February 23rd. We will be hosting Dr. Ali Palermo and Dr. Ingrid Montes to speak about inclusion and diversity across the chemical sciences. And actually, February with the IYCN is more about those topics. We're going to be also having another meeting, which is actually a part of the celebration of the IUPAC Global Women's Breakfast. So the IUPAC Global Women Breakfast is a project that happens across the world. Hundreds of breakfasts take place in the same day of February 16. So go and search for a local breakfast for chemists in your area. If you can't find any breakfast, of course you can start planning your own global women breakfast. It could be something very simple and like a small group of people or chemists, and then it could be also for a larger audience. Also, here at the IYCN, we have we're going to be organizing our own virtual global women breakfast. So stay tuned. In February 16, we're going to be having this virtual meeting that will discuss a global exchange, the importance of allies networks to promote gender equality. So you can scan the QR code and register for that event from now. All right, with that, we come to the end of our workshop for today. Thank you again, everyone, for joining and logging in from across the globe. Thank you for our amazing guest speaker for this opportunity, and we are very looking forward to see you in our next workshop and events. Thank you so much.